Okay, so it's time to start on this, and this place is a freaking mess.
What the hell was that?
This first job is to get a pop top. And this is a Lexus Land Cruiser, and I don't even know what year it is, to be honest with you. But that's irrelevant. So we are gonna cut the roof out of it. And I've already gutted it, except for the front seats. And they're going to stay in for a little bit because they're going to move it every now and then. But we're going to cut the roof out and raise the roof about 9.5 inches, I think was what I measured. And probably going to fill these back windows. And then put, you know, slide out cabinets and all kinds of stuff. All kinds of good stuff to make it like a camping rig. I've given this a lot of thought, and it looks like I'm going to make it about 88 inches long. And we'll angle up from the front. And I was thinking about radius in the corners, but it's going to be hard to radius 88 inches of sheet metal. So I think we're just going to bend it, put like a 45-degree break on the corners, square in the back, and angle it up in the front. The battery died while I was bending all of this stuff, so I didn't get too much video of me bending it. So it's all bent, and it's excessively oversized, and that's because I got to trim it. So, you know, where it comes down into this point here, it's going to be 2 or 3 inches lower than in the center. And rather than just patch it in and make it look like shit, it's easy just to waste a little excess material. Alright, let's take a look at this. Alright, so that's actually close to what the height will be with the top half on it. So this is going to get notched, trimmed into here, and that way, you know, it'll go back a bit and then sit down. And this is the hinge part for the front, and it's kind of hard to see, but yeah, she'll come on down a lot. Alright, so it's 51.5 inches wide, and I should have just sheared it. Still doing the rough figuring on the math here, and to me it's about here where it's at by the A pillar, and then it'll be somewhere down around here in the center, curve that way, and then trim the back, and then we'll look and see how this goes. This is where the hinge is going to go. For a guess on matching the angle of the A pillar, that's pretty freaking good. Alright. So I'm centering off of the drip rail, and I'm going to the outside edge of the square here because it's easier. So about 15/16 of an inch out, so we're even on both sides. So that's going to put, let me get this right up my arm in the way. The very outside edge of this is going to go right here, just inside the drip rail. Alright, so this has got to come down to around here somewhere. So, but what this will do is this will let me trim so it'll drop inside the sunroof, and then I can get it leveled, and then we'll start cutting this so it comes down to here. You can see how much trimming there's going to be. It's a lot. By the time this is done, this will be way further forward. Alright. At least we don't have to worry about the paint on this. We want us to have it a light color. So, and we're going to rhino line the whole thing when it's finished. So here's kind of what I'm thinking. This is a side view. So this is the long piece that I folded. This is the little short brace piece that I'm going to spot weld in and gusset. This is going to be where the little gas strut goes. This area here will be where the canvas gets clipped onto. So that's the logic on it. So from here, this is what I came in to look at. So from here to about here, we're looking at around 5 inches roughly. So now what I got to do is figure out, okay, I had a height so that it would fit inside of a shipping container. So I got to go back and look at that, take the 5 inches off, and then that would be the top of this big angled piece that I'm playing with right now. Alright, so we're roughly at about 7'2" as set right now. So I wanted about 7'3" to the top of the hinge piece. So 5 inches less from there would be 82 inches is where I want the top of this to be at, is at 82. So we want to notch this about 4.5 inches to there. So this will drop down into the sunroof. So we're going to have to sneak up on this because you see how it contours down. So looking at, we've got about 1 3/4 inches So we'll take that out down to about 2 3/4. We'll notch that out square, and then we'll start trimming it in to get the curve from that point. I'm glad I didn't notch this because I did some thinking overnight, and I got to redo the math on this. I'm going to leave this a little taller, this piece a little taller than I originally planned, and then make the top a little thinner, and then that's just to reduce the weight that you got to lift on. It's still going to work. Everything I cut is still plenty big. It just means that this section will sit a little higher. These two little offcuts, we'll form them around there, and we'll weld them across here, and that'll act like a spreader. If you just put the sheet metal straight up and down at a 90 to here, she's going to crack through here. So if you put like a little spreader plate on there, that'll help stop that from happening. So good use for offcut. Alright, so now what I'm going to start doing is notching this stuff into fit, and it's just going to be doing something cut, and I'm trying to do this with the camera so it's a little hard. I'm going to notch it up like that, and then cut that out, drop it down, same with the front, and then eventually all of this will be the same contour as the roof. So there's a rough cut, not this one, this one. So we'll rough it in. Keep trimming it a little bit at a time and get it right. That's our rough cut, and we'll see how she fits. As I was cutting this, I was thinking this is a great waste of space. You know, what we're going to have is a hinge up in here. So I'm thinking is I'm going to fold a piece, come in here, and make like a shelf, and then a couple of openings in here, put them a little door, and they can use that for some additional storage. Okay, so I'm happy with all of that. We still got this issue here, and the thing is, it's going to end up coming way down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a slight bend from here to that corner, and that'll just kink that around a little bit. That'll help close this up, and like I said, we'll open this up in here and make this a storage area. I think this is the last fit. I think this is it. There we go. Oh shit, that was sharp. That's about a little over 4 inches excessively long on this side, but like I said, I didn't know where these were going to finish up at. So what I'll do is I'll cut this off, and then I'll fold the little shelf piece, and then figure out what we're going to put in here for an opening. I'm not sure what can go up in here. My guess is I'm going to put 2 doors. We'll figure it out as we go. This is the offcut that I just cut out of here, and this will work perfect. I'll fold this into a little U-shaped channel and then weld it into the back of here, and then when we put the hinge in through here, we have a great big piano hinge from one end to the other. That will just reinforce where the hinge goes. Oh my God. It's a little overbent. That'll work. Alright, so it's a little overbent. We'll do the same thing. We'll pull it back a bit, but that'll just go in there, and that'll reinforce where that hinge goes. Alright. Alright, so I'm going to cut 2 holes in here for doors, and then put like a reinforcing piece behind it. I guess not really the right word, but something for the door to close up against. And I'll make the doors probably out of aluminum. These are knockout punches for electrical cabinets. Then what you do is you put that little piece in there, turn the bolt in it, and then your handy dandy impact wrench. And then back it out. And then there's your knocked out piece. I've given this some thought, and originally I was going to come up with a little piece, run it across here and fold it into here. And I think that's kind of redundant because you've already got most of this here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fill from this part of the sunroof to here. That can come to there. Just a little reinforcing strip around the opening for the doors. This chunk here has got a little curve in it. This is going to be flat, so I'll put this in the shrinker and just shrink it just a little bit to get the curve. And if I take a quick measurement across here, it tapers just a little bit. It's about 41 and a half, and it's about 41 and 11/16 roughly there. So if I make it square and then I put it in the shrinker, it will actually come out about right. So even though it's tapered, if I make it square and then shrink the one edge, it'll actually pull it to about the right shape. These are shrinker stretches. They should be bolted down, but they're not. That's enough for that side. So I put a few marks on here. I'm just going to give it just a slight nudge on each mark. There you go. I don't know if that's enough bend yet, but we'll check. Alright, it's a little hard to tell if it's going to fit yet because we're sitting up here, so we'll mark the inside, cut the edges out, and drop it in. I got 2 marks in here, so if you ever end up with something like that, cut the one out here that leaves you the most material, and that way you can always come back in and clean it up. If I cut it here and it's too short, it's really hard to put it back on. And if I cut it here and it's too long, it's easy to take it back off. Alright, it's close. We got a gap here and we got an overlap here. So if I just hammer this here, just this part here back a little, that'll let the front pull in. So it's close, it'll work. By hammering that, we've now stretched that back out a bit. So we'll throw it back in the shrinker now and put a few more shrinks back in it and get the curve back to it. So this gap closed up a lot. And I've got just a little bit here where this lip comes down, just to trim back, and that'll let it come forward a bit. So I've already marked the inside radius, so we'll pull it back out, and then we'll sand up around here, get a few welds on it. I don't think I'll weld it solid, it's kind of pointless, but we'll weld it, and then we'll run some seam sealant around it to stop it from leaking. And then the same with this piece. We'll weld this on. This will probably get welded solid just because it's going to be a giant hinge, but then we'll seam seal the inside of it. And then this roof will become a shelf, and, you know, we'll paint it white on the inside. The whole thing's going to get painted like a white or a tan color when it's finished, so that's why I'm not worried about scratching the roof up and crap like that. Most of this roof is going to get cut out anyway. I think this would be a good spot up here to put a couple of extra driving lights or a light bar or something too. Don't think of a use for it yet. A little bit more snow than I was expecting. God, that's deeper than I thought. When they said we were going to get 7 inches, I thought, yeah, we'll get 1. We got 7. That'll give them a nice little storage area, you know. God knows what they'll put in there, but I'm sure they'll find something. So the roof will get cut back to, the reinforcing runs about here somewhere. So it'll be cut back that way along the body line. And the piece will come up here, and then the brace will come back down and tie into the reinforcing that's in here. So the spreader plate, this spreader plate is going to sit in here, and it means I'll have to cut a notch out of it. So what I might as well do now is figure out where it's going to be cut through at, drill a hole up through the roof, you know, like an 1/8 inch hole, and then I can mark on the spreader plate how we're going to cut it. So those are going to sit like that. So we'll weld those on there now. Alright, so this piece is 16 gauge. This roof is probably 20, 22, something like that. So when you're going to weld thicker material to thinner material and you don't want to blow a hole in this, shoot your heat into the thicker material and just kind of let it roll onto the thinner stuff. And we're not worried about rippling this or anything like that. So I'm just going to pulse it and get it done. Try and not burn my finger this time. Well, there's my burn treatment. A little bit of snow. I've got this tacked on, I MIG'd it, and now I'm just going to run around and fuse it with the TIG. Two reasons. One, I'm just low on gas for the MIG, and I won't be able to get any till Monday. It's Saturday now. And the second part is just by fusing it with the TIG, it's just a lot less cleanup and a lot less warpage. I'm going to have to get some flap wheels for the die grinder. I can't get in the corners and clean that up with the 4-inch grinder. And I need to get some seam sealant and paint. So we'll make a trip to town. But yeah, that can go on tomorrow.